Hey everyone, and welcome to Jesse's Shed. Today's screen day, and I'm really excited about this one because look at this screen, it's disgusting. Someone's taken a really nice smoke tinted BMW screen, they've spray painted it with a matte black. They've then decided to go over the top of that with a black vinyl wrap, which was done really badly, as you can see here. And then someone else has gone over the top of that with a Motorrad vinyl, trying to cover something else up. So we're going to try and get all of this off, and we're going to use a couple of different techniques to do it. Firstly, I'll strip it down, see what the plastic itself is like underneath, and then if it's good, we're going to try starting out with WD-40. I've seen this used online a lot and varying results from it. I don't think it's going to do anything, so we'll just see if it can get through that paint. If it can't, we can move on to the next step, which would be the mother's power plastic. This stuff's really good, but you do have to use it with sandpaper, and you've got to work your way through a bunch of different grits. It is a messy system because you use it on a drill, but it does give a decent solid finish to it. It's just not quite as shiny as I like though. So that's where the Meguiar's system will come in handy. This next Meguiar's system is a two-part process. You use a polishing compound, and then you use this spray over the top, and it gets a really, really good finish on it if you do it right. So we'll try the WD-40, probably throw that out, move on to the mothers, and then failing that, we'll try the Meguiar's. So let's get this wrap off and see what everything looks like underneath. So I've got the wrap off, and as you can see, the plastic's actually in really good condition. You can still see through parts of it. I think they've tried to remove it before wrapping it and haven't been successful, so they've just gone over the top. The paint is really in there. It's actually melted through a layer, I think, and that's not giving me a huge amount of hope for this first system that we're using, WD-40. I think that it's designed to soften the layer of paint with the solvents and then basically let you scrub it off. But when the paint's as stuck as this, I just don't think it's going to work. I think we actually have to get rid of that layer. So I'm going to start out doing that. I'm not going to video it because I think it's going to be a whole bunch of scrubbing for nothing. And we'll come back and see what happened. And there you go. Nothing. This is probably a good half an hour, 45 minutes worth of scrubbing with a scouring pad. It made it wet. It made it greasy. It didn't take any paint off anywhere that it already wasn't gone, and yeah, it hasn't done anything. So we're going to have to move on to the next system to actually remove a layer of that Perspex and start with something fresh. The Power Plus system, as I mentioned earlier, has a bunch of different sandpaper grits. Their system comes with an 800, 1500, up to a 3000, and these all go on that drill bit. The final step after you've done the 3000 sand is to use that power ball along with this abrasive compound, and that's what really finishes it off. It's good, but if you've got a really badly marked surface like I do, I think it struggles to really give you a good finish at the end. But we're going to give it a go and see what happens. Where I start out here, I started with the 800, and it just wasn't moving it. It was very slowly starting to get rid of something. And just a note in the background there, you can see the amount of mess that it makes, all of that running down the side of the hoist. So this is where I swapped over to a 400 grit to see what it would do. And again, it wasn't moving. So I actually ended up down at 180 grit and just slowly worked my way through it. You got to keep it really nice and wet so that you get rid of residue as you're going. And you'll start to see it is taking it off, and it's starting to get that smoked clear finish to it again. This isn't a coated screen, it's actually that color, so I don't have to worry about wrecking the tint or anything on it because it'll always be that color. But Yep, just kept going all over with that 180 grit, and then slowly started moving my way up. I got impatient trying to do the entire screen, so I'm just concentrating on one little spot here. Starting out with a sandpaper, you go from a 400 grit, you then swap over to a 1500 grit. That gets rid of a lot of the little scratches all over it. Once you've got it fairly smooth with that, you move up to your 3000 pad. The 3000 pad does quite a good job of getting a bit of a shine to it and starting to make it see-through. You can see it in sections there looking a lot better. Once you've done that, you then move over to the Powerball, and that really shines it up. It's not brought it up to what I want, and just got to keep doing a whole bunch of coats, but this was just a bit of a test patch to see what would happen. After this, I did the rest of the screen and polished the whole thing, and I really wasn't happy with the way that it came up with the Power Plus, so I've gone over it again with the Meguiar's product now. That took out a lot of the little scratches and things that were still showing up, and as you can see, it makes the screen completely opaque. Once you've got it to this stage and everything is very even all over the screen, that's where we can start applying that top compound. It's a spray, and it actually puts a coating on there. It's very hard wearing and it lasts really well, but you've got to make sure everything is super dry before you start. So here's the first coat going on, and you can see as soon as you put it on, that screen goes from completely opaque to see-through. You do a couple of coats, and it's quite a wet coat that you put on with each of them, and then you let it dry for 10 minutes. You come back after 10 minutes and you do another wet coat. And if you see it there, this is the cleanest system, the quickest system, and I really like it. And I've done quite a few different bikes and car headlights now, and they've all turned out great. You can see there, like, there's obviously tiny little marks in the screen that I'm never going to get out. It's physical damage to it, but overall, from 2 foot away, it looks almost brand new. We then do the second coat of it, and that's it. You got to let it dry for 24 hours before you let it get wet, or really let it get any sort of major physical contact with anything. So don't try and put it straight back on the bike or the car or whatever you're using it on. But overall, I love this system. It comes up so nice, and it's so easy. It's not putting bits of splatter everywhere all over your workshop, and yeah, I think the finished results sort of speak for themselves. If you look at that screen where we started and where it is now, it's just night and day. It's perfectly acceptable for the bike that it's going to go back onto, and I'm really happy with it. So as always, I hope this helped you out. If it did, like and subscribe. I'm always doing new projects, and just get out there yourself and give it a go.